So the best one from my experience, both personally and teaching people, is some type of foot assisted muscle up. So in the other video, I was doing more of the row through the transition, but the same thing can be done vertically. So you go kind of sissy squat, you keep those rings in, and then you use the legs as you pull up and go through. The cue that helps me though is try to think of ripping your shirt. So you're bringing the rings in, you're trying to rip, and that's what's gonna get the elbows back behind your body. There's also a drill that you can do with some type of bar, whether it's PVC, dowel rod, where you practice on the active shoulder extension. So we're squeezing shoulder blades back together as you're trying to move the elbows back behind the body. And the deeper you can get into this active shoulder extension position, the easier it'll be to be in the bottom of your deep dip, okay? And you can narrow the hands, make it even harder, and just looking to retract, elevate, and extend. And this is the bent arm version of our German hang. So there is some carryover there, also some carryover to Korean dips in the future. But I like that. You can also do the same thing with some type of elevation. I'm not crazy about eccentrics though, because I find that they're very tough on the arms, but same idea here. But when I was first learning them, I just got to a point where I got high enough on my pull, and then you think of that dowel rod drill, you think of extending the elbows back behind you while also doing a tricep extension. So here, and you get to the top, and we try to rip the shirt as we tricep extend, push the elbows back behind the body, and that's how you eventually get into your deep dip. So we're here, tight, and then rip the shirt, tricep extension, boom, deep dip with that shoulder extension. All right, so here, what you could also do is if you have cables, it's tough to sometimes attach the ring. You can use like a rope, maybe a carabiner, but it might beat up the ring. But even if they have like the little cheap handles, you can false grip the cable pull down, the lat pull down, and then that way you could sit or kneel and do the movement that way, just to get a feel for it. You know, and feel free, you're super strong, feel free to try the eccentrics, but I'm not that crazy about them, is what you tend to see. And I'll try to do it wrong or demo it wrong, where people will go down into the deep dip, they'll get here, and since they're not strong enough to get through the concentric portion, they just crash, and then they catch themselves about here, and you're just crashing over and over on that wrist and that false grip. So I think working the concentrics, it's very similar to the headstand push-up, where I think it's safer to work concentrics on these before you start doing eccentrics. But you know, feel free to try those. But then just getting top and then rip. Also make sure that at the top of your false grip pulls, you're not arched, because that's where, you know, you might be engaged to the chest in here, but if you're a little arched at the top, make sure that you're round or crunched, so that when we get to the top there, we can lean into that dip. If we're arched, it's gonna be very hard to transition into that dip. So that's what I would try. If you have videos of your attempts, it might be a little easier to pinpoint, you know, what we can tighten up, whether it's the shape, pull itself, the elbow positioning. So send those over too. All right, bro. Appreciate you.